Hey everybody, welcome
Hello.
back to Pixel Land. Here we are in Pixel Land as Smooth Jazz and Brad Hussey.
Welcome to Two Pixels Off, a podcast for creative entrepreneurs.
This is the evening session with TPO.
TPO.
Michael Janda.
And you have to talk slow. It's you know,
do.
this is off-brand.
No.
It's off-brand
Take too
for
long.
Two Pixels Off. Yeah, it's
Lame.
too long. We're already
Moving on.
way into this. Here we are, Two Pixels Off. The next episode today on Two Pixels Off, we will be talking about our technology stack. We're going to get into the hardware that we use for our creative ventures, our creative businesses. We're going to dig into the software that we use for different types of projects and needs. And we're going to give you a shotgun style, rapid fire, fully automatic.
What do we use?
What do we use? How do we use it? And we're going to start with the core piece of hardware that is the mothership of all of it. Brad, what is your freaking computer anyway?
Yeah.
What are you using?
He is a beast.
Yeah.
It's a Retina 5K iMac 2020. It was brand new. I bought it brand new and I souped it up. So it's got, at the time, I kind of souped up the memory, 72 gigs of RAM.
Wow, 72. That's nice.
Super powerful. Yeah. So I run this thing hard. I'm starting to, I can start to tell the fans are going hard a lot of the time. And I can tell, it's aging, but these machines for me are well worth the investment because what I always do is I'll run it until I can't. And the steam's going out of it essentially. And then when I do, I wipe it clean. I kind of reboot it and we keep that computer and we'll generally use it for I'll give this to my wife for her office, for her studio, for photography.
Well, that's nice of
stuff.
you to give your wife your hand-me-downs and not buy her a new computer, man.
Thing is, it's like, it seems lame. I got her a new laptop. But the iMac that I buy is so souped up that even when I retire it, it's more than what most people need. I run it like a workhorse. And so, or now that our kids are starting to get older and starting to use computers for homework and stuff, I can see being like, all right, this one's going to be, the kids' homework computer. So that's my machine.
Yeah. What's your processor in it? What is it in the 2020? And you were pre the M1. You're not the M1.
Yeah. I'm starting to,
right?
I'm starting to notice that. Like I'll do things and it'll be like, you can't use it because it's not a silicon or this or that. 3.8 gigahertz, 8 core Intel Core i7. So I know, and I can tell now that the needs are growing and my processor's like, whoa, what are you doing to me?
Yeah. I usually buy early on in the new big change. And the new big change for me, I was just hobbling along with an iMac. Mine wasn't as souped up as yours, but I don't know, I had, what would it be, 30? I know I had more than 32 gig of RAM. It was probably what the next tier up would be, 40 or something, or 48 or whatever. I don't know. They go by 8 gig sticks, right? Something. Anyway, so I had something like that, and it was a good machine. It was the Intel i7. And then as soon as the M1 chips got announced, I was like, boom, this is my time, because then I get the entire life of that new thing to be still hold its value. So I bought the MacBook Pro M1 Max 16-inch laptop with 32 gig of memory and 1 terabyte of, it has 2 terabytes of storage on it. I think maybe it's 1 terabyte. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter, but that's what I bought. And I'm starting to feel it, though. I'm starting to feel it on the M1 because now we're to the M4 world and things are faster. So I kind of eyeball. I mean, maybe I'll do it this, it's tax time coming up in the end of the year. So whatever I buy this year helps me with my tax situation.
Good point.
This year. Yeah. So, Brad's thinking now. He's thinking, wait a second. I can
Daddy might upgrade.
Daddy might upgrade. Daddy might get himself a new computer. Okay. And then my monitor, I just have a 43-inch LG, 43-inch LG monitor. I just have one, and then I have my laptop next to it. So I have two screens, but just one giant monitor and then laptop screen where I just throw stuff. It's my junk bin for Windows. What do you use for your display?
Just the iMac. I go one big. It's a giant screen. I mean, it's 27 inches. It's more than enough here. And the resolution's high, so I just have a lot of windows. I've played with extending my desktop to a laptop. The laptop will be here, and you can kind of jump over into one and the other. And I've tried that, and I've played with multiple monitors in the past, but I just find you use the space you have. And if I had two giant monitors, they would both be as cluttered, and then I would need to figure out how to manage it. So for me, I just make it so I only use one. And that's the way I keep it. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you do you use multiple desktops on it and stuff? Do you?
Yeah.
You're swapping.
Yeah, I have like my Spotify, I've got my Notion, and then I've got like my workhorse with all the messy stuff, and then I organize it and flip through, and I use keyboard shortcuts to get through. Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay. So that's the setup for the core thing. Now, another thing that I have that I love is my M1 MacBook Air. And I have that on the main floor of my house. My office is upstairs, and my main floor, I got my MacBook Air, and that is just my email machine, man. I love it. It's so lightweight and easy. And I do a lot of hardcore email and just web surfing on the couch on that little machine. And I don't disconnect my laptop very often from my main workplace. I do when I travel, just so that I have my power machine with me if I need to do something more powerful. But that MacBook Air, man, freaking solid gold. For those of you looking for a tax write-off, Brad's holding his up in the screen right now too. So you do the same thing,
M2.
right, Brad? Same.
Yep.
Yeah. M2 lucky,
MacBook Air.
Lucky. Yeah.
And it's good.
So
it's good.
It's so good. And, for those people that have a Costco near them, Costco freaking, you can go in there and get this little machine. If you need a tax write-off, want to spend like $800 this year, this episode's probably launching post the new year. But nonetheless, I love that as a little tax write-off to get another little machine, because it's so nice to power use a laptop, but not for production things. So that's something that I love. And then, of course, I have an iPad. I don't do the iPad Pro and get into all of that. You do, though, right? You have an iPad Pro?
Yeah. That's I got that for my wife, so she could do digital illustrations, digital art. She does like kind of painting and artistic work in Procreate. And so I got that a while back. It's an older model now, but it's still super powerful. We use it for the kids as well, like Simply Piano. And I use it for GarageBand. If I'm coming up with like music ideas and we're kind of coming up with early song ideas, I'll use GarageBand on the iPad and then switch over to the Mac with Logic. And that's more of a hobby thing. That's not my work, but that's how we'll use that machine.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's kind of the core engine. We're both feeling a little bit on the processor side. Mine still does an adequate job with an M1 Max chip, but I probably am going to upgrade sooner than later, and then this one either sell it. You can trade them in now on Apple, and they got a good trade-in program. So I'm sure I can get a decent amount for this computer that I have on their trade-in thing, because it's still current enough that they can use the parts in it. All right, let's go to camera gear, which is another thing. We'll continue on hardware, and then we'll go into software. So camera gear. And all of the ancillary related stuff. Brad, what's your main camera that you're using?
Main camera is the Sony A7C. And the lens that I have on that is the Sigma. Let me take a look. That's the 24 to 70 Sigma art lens. So it's a pretty expensive lens. I could have not got the art lens, but I just found it's all about the lens, right? The camera is great. I love the camera, but it's the lens. And so I just spent that extra on that quality. Plus, my wife's a photographer. And so it doubles as, you have an incredible zoom lens on this machine. So that's my main camera, and my backup camera is my wife's Canon EOS R6. And so that's kind of what I use for like B-roll or additional camera if I want multiple angles. But the one that I'm looking at right now, that's the Sony A7C with that Sigma lens.
Yeah. I started with the Panasonic G85. That was my first camera that I started recording content on. My first few courses were done using that camera. Then I went to the Sony, what's their little point and shoot that doesn't even have lenses? The Sony I'm on the Sony EV10. Oh, the Sony ZV-1. So I got a little Sony ZV-1, and I love that little camera. It's so easy, and it takes good quality for being this little lightweight point and shoot. I'm not going to get rid of it, even though I don't use it as an everyday camera for my things. Then I got the Sony ZV-10 or the EV10. EV10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
ZV-E10?
The Sony EV10. And that's essentially the Sony ZV-1 with the ability to put a new lens on it. And I spent, I think as much on the lens as I did on the camera body on mine too. So I got the Sony Leica 15 millimeter lens. So I get a nice bouquet of depth of field and stuff as you want. And so anyway, so that's my camera gear. I still have all the cameras, and they're over in my studio, which is in the next room over. And I really don't use them all that often anymore. I do think I'm gonna hook one up, so I have two cameras shooting inside my office in some way. I'm not sure where I'll put the other one, but I'll hook them up both so I can swap. Because swapping cameras becomes easy using the Elgato infrastructure and the Ecamm in combination with Ecamm, which we'll get to in a second. Let's talk about Elgato for a second, Brad, because Elgato is, I think we're both fans of this company. If you are trying to make content and you want to level up what you're doing, just basically buy anything that Elgato has. That's what you want, because it's so great. What do you use from the Elgato family, Brad?
First thing I got was the Stream Deck. It's the 15 key Stream Deck. It's about this big. It's over here. I can't pull it over. I'll unplug everything, but it's Stream Deck. It obviously allows you to automate a whole bunch of things. You can program the keys to be whatever you want, multiple different profiles. So if I'm in Spotify, I can control Spotify. I can click a button to turn my lights on and off, my cameras on and off. I could switch scenes for the camera, color, profiles. I could do browsing. I could do, a lot of the times I'm replying to comments on YouTube videos or in DMs and stuff. I programmed a key that generates one of like 5 different random responses that are common for a certain response. Oh, that's so cool. I'll just go boop, and it'll be like, "Hey, thanks, I really appreciate that. See you around in the community," or something like that. Yeah. So I'm like just pressing. So I'm not typing or copying and pasting. I'm just pressing the button, generates a random response that I usually say, and then enter. Random response, enter. So I use Stream Deck for all the automation if I want to press a physical button. I have the Elgato prompter, which is what I'm looking at. So it's a teleprompter that sits in front. It's a nice piece of glass with a little computer monitor, essentially, underneath it. And so I can look at, like, in this case, I'm looking at Mike and myself and our time and our recording. And I can, if I wanted a script or a browser window, I can look at you rather than looking over at my computer. Or if I'm talking on Zoom and looking at the person, they're looking at the side of my face. Now I can talk to the person. It's a lot more natural, and it feels better when you're on camera looking at the person. Yeah. Then I have the Elgato foot pedal. So I can use the foot pedal to swap between, I can program it to do anything I want. It's just basically 3 buttons, and I can make it change colors in my studio, swap screens, turn cameras on, give me teleprompter, move through the script, whatever I want it to do, I can make it do. So those are the Elgato tools that I use. Yeah.
You mentioned you have Elgato lights, or did you have a different tool for lights?
Different lights. I've got Aperture, which is by, what's that company? Aperture by, Aperture is the light company. Yep. And so I have their creator brand, which is Amaran. So it's the cheaper brand, but I've seen reviews and basically it's more than what anyone would need unless you're on a film set, essentially.
Yeah.
And so for my studio, I've got a key light with a big dome mounted to the ceiling on a big crossbar. And I got a crossbar behind me with a smaller Amaran light that has a dome softbox as well that you can kind of see up on the top of my headphones. And then the
hair
purple
light.
In the back here. Yeah, the hair light. And the purple in the back, where as you can see, like I can change colors. That's using Aperture's light, strip light. And I could change the colors to be whatever I want it to be. So I have 3 of those lights and then a couple other extra small ones, but those are my main lighting components. But Elgato has some great lights as well.
Yeah, they do. So I changed all my lights to Elgato lights for my video shooting. So I have 2 of the big ring lights up here, and then I have a little mini light that's right in front of me to kind of light up under my face. And it's just sitting on my desk, and it's just a little bit of a fill light. That's what I have. And I love that it's all just so integrated. Just push a button and all my lights come on, and they don't heat up at all either. Yeah. I mean, it's all just pretty great. So I'm a big user on the Elgato stuff too. I do have a Stream Deck. I got the 20, the 42, it's 4x8. So 42 slots on my Stream Deck or whatever the big one is. So, but you do not need that many. No. Because what I didn't know is, so you got the 15 key one. Yep. I have the bottom programmed to switch the desktop of the thing. So if there's just a button I push and it changes all my buttons to my eCam controls, and I push another button and it changes all my buttons to whatever else I want to have my buttons controlled to. So you have like multiple desktops on the hardware device. So I would, if you're looking to shave a little money, I don't know that I would recommend buying the biggest one for the Elgato Stream Deck. I think because you can swap. I have so many empty slots on my keys, man. I just don't need as many visible keys all at once, you know?
Yep. And even I don't use all my keys, and I got the smaller one.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a place where I overspent, or I could have shaved back. I have those Amaran lights also. I have those in my studio for my hair light and my dome light in there. I did not know that you could control those with a Stream Deck, or I probably would have figured out how to bring those into my studio, but into my office here where I shoot most of my stuff. Yeah. Anyway, and I have the Elgato foot pad, so I can change cameras and change whatever with that as well. I just love the whole infrastructure. The things to start with, if you're going to do some hardware upgrades for your content creation, get the Elgato prompter. It's a game changer. If you want to just improve your speed of production, go buy a Stream Deck. Even if it's just a little 6-button or 8-button one, it's a game changer, man. If I want to open Photoshop, I click a button. I don't click my keyboard. My button's there and it has the icon on it, and bam, it's so slick. And then, and if you're doing any content creation, it's so slick because I can toggle through slides. I can change my cameras. I can turn on and off my lights, all the stuff with that, just easy touch buttons. It's a game changer. You do need to connect the cameras like what Brad and I have. You do need to get an Elgato Cam Link, which allows it to be the HDMI that comes out of your camera, plugs into the Cam Link, and turns it into a USB-C device that you plug into your computer. And it's works great. I haven't had any issues with it.
The thing you'll need to be aware of if you get a decent camera, and I know Elgato has a camera too. I haven't used it, so I couldn't speak to it.
I haven't either.
In my opinion, like, I haven't seen a webcam do a good job of what when you're looking at a quality, sure, you can get a sharp 4K technically image, but you could still tell it's a webcam. Everything's in focus. It's really super wide angle. It's just not the same as like a really good quality piece of glass.
I own 2 of those Facecam Pros. I bought one, And then I was like, oh, I'm going to get another one. It was just tax time. And so I was just saving some money on taxes. I thought I would have 2 angles. So 2 Facecam Pros. I don't use either of them now. I have my good camera in here, and that's what I shoot through. And I have my prompter right here. So I agree. Don't waste your time. I went through all the cameras too, man. I bought them all. Every webcam I bought, cascading up the price point. I tried them. I returned so many, just hoping that I would get any kind of blur, depth of field with something. And when Facecam Pro came out, I was like, boom, I'm buying that right now, because allegedly it would have it, and it does not. It doesn't even come close to the quality you get with one of these machines. I would rather see someone buy a Sony ZV-1 that is just their little point and shoot, that has crisp, fast autofocus, and buy a Cam Link. And you're going to spend a few $100s more, like $200 or $300 more than just buying a Facecam Pro. But the quality just with that is going to be significantly better than what you get through a Facecam Pro or any of the other webcam tools. They just do not hold up. And I bought so many of them. Yeah.
The other thing is audio, sound.
Yes. I was going to go to audio. Go, Brad.
Go to
audio.
We're
using the same microphone. Microphone. Yes.
And your mileage can vary. So this is this tricky microphone. So this microphone is the Shure SM7B, the OG. Now there was a precursor to this that Michael Jackson used on Thriller. But this is essentially the tried and true one, the SM7B. They have new ones. You might see podcasters, the trendy podcasters, using like the USB powered Shure microphones. I think it's like the Shure, what is it called? SM7B, the new one. It's like SM7DB or something. Yeah, the SM7DB, it's built in preamp. And the MV7 Plus, there's like almost like a stubby looking version. It's shiny and stubby.
I have the MV7. I have the Shure MV7.
Okay.
Yeah. And what am I using now? The SM7B.
The SM7B.
So, yep.
It's like, I'm a bit of an audio snob, and that's my music production and recording background. So I go a little overkill on my audio, but I'm happy to do that because the quality. And it's not even just this, because this microphone is quiet. It needs a preamp. And so a lot of people will buy these because they see like Joe Rogan and all the popular podcasters using the microphone. So I'm going to buy one and it's going to make me sound so good. It won't because you need a preamp. And that's Cloud Lifter. There's a couple other ones. I went fully overkill for standard people's needs. But for me, it's perfect. I got the DBX it's called the 286S mic preamp preprocessor processor, and basically it has the gain, so it'll bring the levels back up, but I also can do compression. I can de-S, so my S's aren't so sibilancy, and I can enhance low and high frequency. I can do EQ, and I can do expanders and gates. So any background noise I will cut out, and you can't hear it when I stop speaking. And then also, some other things that I could do. And then that's fed into the computer via a Scarlett 2i2. But it's like, so the audio quality on this microphone has the potential to be incredible. And I have it about as good as you can get it, barring us going and post editing and adding some more compression and EQ on the microphone. But to me, it's like, it's a must. And probably most people, you can get away with just doing the MV7 or the SM7DB or like any of those microphones that are just USB powered, because that's most people's needs. I use it for recording music and audio and vocals and instruments, in addition to podcasting and video recording. And I can't stand bad sounding audio, at least when I'm producing it.
Yeah. I use the same microphone, and I did the mistake of just leveling up my audio little by little. I started with the Blue Yeti that everybody starts with, spent $100 there, bought another one for my studio, spent another $100. Then I upgraded and did the Shure MV7, spent $300 there. and it still was not to the quality that I wanted. And so I ended up buying the Shure SM7B anyway. So for me, if you're going to do a podcast or build content or anything, it's again, spend the extra $100 right out of the gate. Because I spent more than Brad on microphones because he went good from the start, and I bought all the lower quality ones and tiered my way up. I did the same thing with the camera stuff. It was like, okay, I'm going to try all these webcam. I'm just going to buy this Sony EV10, which is a great little camera. It's and then you can put a great lens on it, and it is so much better quality. But you do need a preamp, and I ended up buying the Rodecaster Duo, which is just a 2-channel. You can plug 2 microphones into it, and it gives you the abilities that Brad's talking about there. I'm not as expert at dialing it in as Brad, but it has some user-friendly just presets where you can say, oh, I want a sparkly voice. Oh, I want a broadcast quality, and you click it, and it adjusts everything to give you that. I edit the 2 pixels off videos, and I still am jealous of Brad's audio quality in comparison to mine. When I have to do a lot more work on mine, all I have to do on Brad's is just adjust his level so that it's in harmony with my level of gain. But I don't have to add anything to Brad's. I don't have to deepen the bass or do anything. I don't have to make it pop any. It's just it's so good. So you got it dialed in better. Your preamp is better than mine, but the Rodecaster Duo is so user friendly, and for most people, it's going to give you great quality. Yeah. So if you're going to do a podcast or you're going to make content, my recommendation: get a camera that's good, get a lens that's good, get the Shure SM7B that's great, that every major person uses. It's the one, you can see it on Brad's if you're watching the video version. You see the little auxiliary jack on the end where the wire is coming off of the back of it. That's the Shure tell that it's the Shure SM7B. If you have a black microphone and then that jack coming out of the stem of the microphone, that's what they're using. And you, like you said, Joe Rogan uses it. So if it's good enough for Joe Rogan, it should be good enough for everybody else.
It's a good mic.
Anyway, so that's hardware wise what I use as well. Okay, let's go to, well, let's see. Any other pieces of hardware that are like do or die for you, Brad, that you use? Oh, hard drive space. How do you handle that? I have an 18 terabyte SSD drive hooked into my computer. And it spins up and down, and it's kind of annoying. And I've been looking for ways to get it to not spin, where it kind of goes to sleep and it has to reawake every freaking time that I go to save something, and it pisses me off. But it's so much cheaper than mine's the HDD, not the SSD is the solid state. Mine's an HDD, which has essentially a little motor in it or a fan or something. That you hear it go, wee, it spins. But I have 18 terabytes, and so it's so big. Maybe I just have too much data on it. Anyway, what do you use for storage like that, Brad?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do a lot of stuff in the cloud. Now I know obviously certain things you can't do, like giant video files for production and things like that. So one of the things I do is when I buy the iMac, like I've got, what is it? Oh my gosh. It's like a 4 terabyte, computer, space. Yeah. So what I'll usually do is I'll just get like a lot of storage on the computer itself. I'm only at 2, used, and this thing, like I'll never run out of space on this thing, for how I use it. For any extra stuff, I got solid state drives, just like a couple of these, and they're so fast, and there's tons of space, and they're small, lightweight, and like basically indestructible. And there's no fans or motors that spin up, so you're not going to get any degradation there. The cloud, I do a lot of stuff in the cloud. So I don't necessarily need tons and tons of space for my work. I just make sure I have plenty enough on the machine, and then a couple of SSDs.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch to the SSDs as part of my tax write-off strategy for the end of this year. just because I can't stand the spinning up and down that happens with the
It's noisy.
HDD. It's the time delay. Like it's a second or two every time I go and hit Command S, it stalls and just spins, and I hear it go wee, and then then it finally boots up, and then I'm like, man, I'm just losing my flow, my speed of flow. Mm-hmm. So I got to fix that. Okay. Any other hardware things that we got to talk about? And then let's do a rapid fire on software solutions.
Sure. For me, that's kind of the lights, camera, mic,
action.
That's for me. Those three,
lights,
the
camera,
trinity of video and audio production, lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's good computer, good camera, good microphones, good lighting.
Yeah.
That's it.
What about, I think it's worth the upgrade to buy the what do they call it? The keypad version of the keyboard that has the 10 key. I always have the one that has the 10 key because I use those numbers all the time on that 10 key thing. Yep, right there, Brad has it. And then get the one that has the freaking touch where you can put your fingerprint on your computer and automatically log into stuff. Mm-hmm. I cannot live without this anymore.
Yeah.
Do you have that, Brad?
I don't. I know for my next computer purchase, that's a must.
That is a must. That's a must. You could get one now and just use it for your machine. But if you're, Anyway, it's a game changer because now I can just pay just with the touch of the fingerprint sensor.
I like that. I will say, though I'm a huge Apple fan, basically through and through, I abandoned the Magic Mouse for one of these gnarly looking Logitech MX Masters. I know they're ugly, hideous, but it just it fits. There's no like shaky hand. I feel like I'm not prematurely giving myself carpal tunnel.
But what do you got, a scroll wheel on there? You got a scroll wheel on that thing.
Scroll wheel on the top, scroll wheel on the side.
No.
So good.
No.
Oh my gosh, Mike.
Wheel, man.
You don't even imagine.
On.
The fact I can rip through, like I was just editing some video and some audio, and I can like horizontal and vertical, and I'm doing keyboard shortcuts and expanding the timelines and moving this and keyboard shortcuts to cut and slice and edit, and it's like it's so good. It's ugly as all heck, but
I don't know. Yeah,
you can't give up the aesthetics.
Mouse. And I love the touch sensor, and I side swipe and I vertical swipe and all this stuff on it. It's a great little mouse. But you know what? Use what you can be most productive on. That's the takeaway. And I do tease Brad for being kind of remedial in that. But I get it. Some of those mice are great. Those bigger size mice are great. It's good. I would get rid of that freaking scroll wheel, though. That's no good, man. That's not good for anybody.
I love the scroll.
All right, Brad, give me the power tools for software. If you're going to build a website, what tools are you using? But just give the rapid fire version.
Okay. A piece of paper or like a notebook, wireframing.
Okay.
Figma, Wix Studio. And if I'm hand coding stuff, I'll just use the, what's that editor that everybody uses these days? I made the switch. Can't remember right now. Just a text editor for coding and then an FTP client just to upload. But I don't often do that. So the Trinity would be Notebook, Figma, Studio. Mm-hmm. Building sites.
For me, it would be, I don't do the Notebook. It would be Figma to whatever I'm building the site on. And I'm kind of old school. I use WordPress on my personal sites. But that's because I was birthed in the early days of the internet. And so my knowledge of the builders inside of WordPress and stuff and how it all works, I just am so fast on that. I do love Wix Studio, as we've talked about many times. And I built the 2 Pixels Off website on Wix Studio. And did a little mini course on Wix Studio in my web design business boot camp course. It was Editor X then, but on how to use that and in a streamlined way. So I love that tool as well. And I would put that in my trinity of builders. That's what I would use on website stuff. Okay. You're going to design a logo, Brad. What are you using?
That's a great question. I'm going to be honest and say I am using the tool that gets me to hire a great illustrator and designer.
Come on, man. Come on. That's funny. Brad's got a kid in the office. We don't edit things out here. We can leave them in. Okay, so you don't design logos. So Adobe Illustrator is the tool for that. And that's what I'm going to use. What do you use Photoshop for, Brad? How often do you have Photoshop open?
That's a great question. So I did use Photoshop for a long time to do mock-ups before I embraced Figma, and I was like, no, this is great. This works great. Why would I change it? But then I changed. And I use Photoshop. I still subscribe to it because I actually do YouTube thumbnails and any graphics. Like I'll use Canva. Canva's an excellent tool for quickly producing graphics that are just kind of like low value. You just need some stuff. But I will experiment sometimes and go, I'm going to design this thumbnail in Canva using the tools I've got, and I'm going to design this in Photoshop. And without a doubt, every single time the Photoshop result turns out so much better. So much better control. Skin colors, tones, cutting out backgrounds, the pen tool, all of it. Masking,
typography, all of it. Yep. I agree with you there. But now I am a humongous fan of Canva. I never thought that I would say it. How often do I open Canva? Once every 3 months. How often do I pay for Canva? Every single freaking month. They can have my $14.99 every month because I am such a fan of the simplicity of the tool that they're building. It is mind-blowing what you can do inside that simple tool. The other day, I made an animated GIF in it. I was like, I wonder if Canva, I needed an animated GIF for a little presentation I was doing. I was like, I wonder if Canva can just make an animated GIF. And sure enough, it was like the fastest little animated GIF I ever made in my life. So it's just so great for that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan, highly recommend it. Even though I don't use it as a power user every day, I still, man, there are so many good little tools in there. But I'm old school as well. I'm, designing in Photoshop thumbnails and stuff like that. The control of typography and all those things are so great in there. I use Adobe InDesign all the time because I also have my books and stuff and do multi-page documentation on things. So I use that a lot. I use Keynote a ton for making my presentations that I do. If I'm teaching in a community or a conference or something, I'm using Keynote for my decks. But I use a lot of Photoshop with those as well to create the graphics that I then bring into Keynote, and then I lay on there my text and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's kind of my suite of things there. What about note taking? You mentioned Notion, and I'll give you my history on Notes apps. My history on Notes app is I was a power user of Evernote for years and years and years. And then everybody started being like, Notion. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. And it had an easy import from my Evernote over to Notion. It was so fast and easy. And then I was like, I tried for like a year and a half, and I just never loved it because it was too much. It was too much for being just a note-taking app. It had too much power. So I was like, screw this. And I went to Apple Notes. I was like, I'm not going to pay Evernote. I'm just going to use Apple Notes. And then I exported everything out of Notion and imported into Apple Notes. And then I got so many files in Apple Notes that my Apple Notes started bogging. I was like, screw this. And I just went back to Evernote just like a week ago. So I'm back in Evernote. I'm not changing. Evernote's great. I love it. And they've got AI tools and capabilities built into it now as well. So that's my history on note-taking things. You use Notion, or what do you use? You're writing a script for a video or outlining a talk or something that you're going to do, Brad. What do you use for that kind of stuff?
For any more official note taking, that's like for scripts or business or those sorts of things, even home related, property related notes, I will use Notion. But for casual notes, I use my notes notes app on my.
I have to do it right now.
Okay, 5 minutes. Go tell mom. I'll be out in 5 minutes. Okay, this is not the time. I'll be right back. Okay, you get going. So I'll use Apple Notes.
Is that Snaggletooth or is that Electra? Those are Brad's kids.
I love it.
Brad's kids'
Spicy.
names are Snaggletooth, Electra, and what's the other one? Chamisra, I think.
McSpicy Town for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the spicy one. That's the little spicy one.
Okay.
Doesn't care that I'm working. Doesn't even care. So yeah, answer your question. Notes. I use Apple Notes for just like casual stuff. And for work, I'll fire up Notion and I'll use the AI tool and I will annotate. I type so much that I save my typing. Notion's AI dictation is so good. It picks up on like the nuance. And so I'll just note take by talking, and then I'll select it all and say, turn that into like proper notes, and it will turn it into notes. And so I use that. And then I have a system. I get it. Notion's weird and it's big and it's everything. And that can be too much, but I got it roped in. I figured it out and I like it.
Yeah. I gave it a whirl, but it was just more than I needed. And so I did need to go back to something simpler. I do like that. I need to do voice note a lot more than typed notes. I'm going to start pushing myself to do that better. I used to do it a lot. And then I got back into the typing thing and the zone of that, but you can dictate so much faster than you can type anybody. So I got to do that. And when AI can clean it up, that's a big difference today compared to yesteryear, meaning like 3 months ago, when it would dictate and it would give you all of the little misspoken things and phrasing, weird phrasing and stuff that you had. And now it just cleans all that stuff up. So that makes a whole lot of sense. Okay. Give me something out of the box that you use that is like some kind of Brad little secret mojo that Brad uses.
I like, I would say it's kind of a secret mojo for me, but it's obviously people do this, but I do it really well. It's automations using Zapier as the kind of the engine. I use a little bit of if this then that, ifttt.com. And Wix Studio has a good automations builder now that ties into your sites, and Kit for email marketing. And they all talk to each other. And so the automations that I have in place, so I have the advantage of having a web development and programming background, as well as being a designer. And then I like the tech, I like how it works. So I understand these no code sort of automation tools from a programming standpoint. And so I can probably get more mileage than the average Zapier or automation user. And so hence why, with Kit, I offer that as a service, the email marketing, the funnels, because the way that I've grasped it is just, it's a lot deeper than most, especially just the average creator who's just trying to, sell their courses and coaching and grow their audience. I'm like, let me build the engine for you. I love building these engines and these automated things. And so for me, Zapier and anything automations is like my secret ingredient.
Yeah, those are good secret ingredients. I'm going to give you a few that I like and use regularly. One is Handbrake. To compress video. I've been using it for freaking 15 years, I think. And if I export something out of Premiere, it could be 4 gig for a YouTube video or 8 gig for a YouTube video, just gigantic. And if you run it through Handbrake, it somehow gets it down to like 1 gig in size. It's because it does so good on that with no noticeable quality difference. So I love Handbrake. If you're looking to compress video files, that's a great one. The next one that I'll say is iTube Studio. iTube Studio is a YouTube video downloader. And when I started making content like, here's the history of Kentucky Fried Chicken brand and I'm making shorts for that, you can download a video of Colonel Sanders in the kitchen with the fryer. And I use that in the backdrop of my edited video where I'm on a green screen and then Colonel Sanders is behind me. So there's usage for being able to pull down YouTube videos, and iTube Studio does a great job of doing that. A little nugget there. Another one that I'll say, Loom. Oh my gosh, I freaking love Loom. Loom is so great to create fast video response. I do this a lot for people in my community. They asked me a question about something. I sent 2 yesterday when I was in my car. I had somebody in my community. She was struggling with a bad client situation, struggling. How do I respond to this? I sometimes just want to quit this whole business. It was one of those kinds of moments. And so I was like, okay, this is one I'm not going to wait 2 hours to reply to her because I know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. So I just magneted it to my little mount in my car, my phone, and I just turned on Loom and it records me talking through the stuff. Here's what I would do. And then it automatically uploads the video. And all I have to do is just click forward or send or copy the link and text it to her or email it to her. It's so great. So if you're trying to do this asynchronous communication with people, including your clients, Loom is great. And then a little hack on that is set the speed. Like somebody sends me a Loom message, I automatically go like, I'm going to put this at 2x speed. I'm not going to listen to this at 1x speed. In fact, those of you listening to 2 Pixels Off, try putting Brad and I on at 1.5x or 2x. You're going to get through the episode twice as fast as listening to it in real time. So that's a little hack that I think people should be doing. We got to get this stuff consumed quicker in today's world. I'll give you one last little hacky thing. This new iPhone mirroring, if you have the Mac OS Sequoia on it and you have an iPhone, you can iPhone mirror and essentially put your iPhone screen on your computer. Have you done this yet, Brad?
I have, yes. I think that's such a
sick.
cool...
It's so great. It's so great because some apps are better on your phone. And so going into the app, and some apps are not even on your computer. And so just being able to turn those things on your computer. I do it a lot to reply to messages like on WhatsApp or something, a tool that I don't use all the time and I don't want to install it on my computer. I can still just open it on my iPhone mirrored phone. So if you haven't started using that, I highly recommend that as well. All right, Bradley, did you think of any other little gems while we were talking?
A good coffee machine, good espresso machine, the Rancilio Silvia. That's the other one. Gotta have. I'll
give you the other one is a mini fridge in your office. Also good. Also good. Throw your drinks, throw your bubblies in there and your Waterloos. I did think of one last little thing, and we use it all the time. Brad and I both love Ecamm Live. If you're making content, oh my gosh, record directly to your screen. It is like a paid for OBS studio, but it's better, man. It's better. It's easier to use. I love Ecamm. And then Riverside. Don't look at any of the other options. I'm telling you, I looked at them all. And if you're doing a podcast or any kind of interview type of content with another person, just do Riverside. Just go to it. It's just so good and so much better. I love it.
Brilliant. Love it.
All right. That was a lot of info. So hopefully some people got a couple little ideas or gems in there. Thank you all for listening to 2 Pixels Off. We've been mixing it up the last couple episodes, Brad. We had history of the internet. Now we're giving freaking technology stack.
Tools and tech.
And the one before that, it was like hot takes on little one-liner things.
Let us know what you think. Yeah,
let us know if you want variety. I want to apologize to the 2 Pixels Off listeners right now for not making enough jokes about Brad on this episode. I was way too serious. Next time, I will come through for you. All right. We'll see you next time on 2 Pixels Off. Thanks so much for listening. Shout out to Wix Studio for making this podcast possible. We gave them a shout out. It's in the technology stack as well. Really powerful website builder with all of the capabilities and add-ons that you need, as we highlighted in our last episode, the history of the internet, and how Wix Studio really can handle the big inventions of the internet over the last 25 years are built into the tool right now. So great tool. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you all next time on 2 Pixels Off.